5 underrated artists with more than 4 million monthly listeners on Spotify. Number 5, Pusha T. Pusha T is a criminally underrated artist. With only 4.4 million monthly listeners on Spotify, he definitely deserves to have 44.4 million monthly listeners on Spotify. Number 4, Beastie Boys. Beastie Boys is another underrated artist, as they have only 7.2 million monthly listeners on Spotify. Brass Monkey. Number 3, MF Doom. MF Doom is a sadly underrated artist, with only 8.4 million monthly listeners on Spotify. MF Doom was actually born in London, England. Number 2, AGOR. AGOR is also an underrated artist, as they have the world record for the smallest violin, but still only have 7.8 million monthly listeners on Spotify. Before we reveal number 1, I would like to go through some honorable mentions. Andre from Outkast. Andre from Outkast is a very underrated artist. However, he only has 1.5 million monthly listeners on Spotify, so he didn't make the cut for this list. Andre from Outkast likes to play the flute. Bork. Bork is a criminally underrated artist, but has only 2.4 million monthly listeners on Spotify, so also didn't make this list. The King Ghidorah is another underrated artist that didn't make the cut for this list. Not much is known about them, however. Madvillain is another underrated artist that tragically couldn't make the list. Little is known about this mysterious figure either. Kids See Ghosts is another underrated artist that couldn't make the cut for this list. Kids See Gay Ghosts is a collaborative project between rapper and singer Kid See Diane rapper, entrepreneur, and politician Kanye West. Bob Marley is another underrated artist that couldn't make the list, as he has 450,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, which is less than 4 million monthly listeners on Spotify. And finally, number 1, Nas. Nas is another underrated artist, with only 8.4 million monthly listeners on Spotify. He is an American rapper and entrepreneur, as he is rooted in East Coast hip-hop. Nas is regarded as one of the greatest rappers of all time, which makes Nas worthy of the number 1 spot on this list.